And Americans across the country are struggling with sky-high food prices right now.
And those are also subject to cost increases due to recent policy.
U.S. inflation is picking up, according to data out Friday.
You are working extremely hard and you keep trying to earn more money, but somehow it feels like you're just making no progress, financially speaking. For many people, this is so common that their paycheck lands into their account. Before we can even think about it, any one of us, it's already spoken for. You've got rent, groceries, gas, insurance, you know the list. Everything costs more, and you're left wondering, is it just me, or is everyone barely making it right now? I will tell you the answer is it's not just you. I want to spend the next few minutes being really honest about some things that are happening in the economy that you might not be aware of, why it's not going back to the way things were, but most importantly, what can you and I actually do about it? Actual, tangible, practical steps. Let's start with the facts. As of August of 2025, the inflation rate in the United States is sitting at around 2.9%. You might hear that and think, well, that doesn't sound too bad, but that number doesn't really tell the whole story of what's going on. Here's the thing. When economists say inflation is slowing, they don't mean prices are going down. They mean prices are still going up, just not as fast as they were before. You're still paying more than you did last year and way more than we did 5 years ago. But there's another piece of this puzzle that a lot of other videos I've seen on this particular topic don't bring up, and that is something that affects our daily living without us even realizing it. So I found this to be really interesting. The wealthiest 10% of Americans now own 93% of all stock market wealth. That's a record high. Let that sink in for just a minute. So the top 1%, just 1% of people, own 54% of the entire public stock market. Here's why that matters for you and me. When the economy recovers or the stock market goes up, the vast majority of those gains go to people who already have wealth. Meanwhile, regular people are just trying to figure out how to afford groceries. With so much wealth concentrated at the top, when we cut back on spending because we can't afford things, it barely affects the overall economy today. The wealthy keep spending and the markets just keep going and we keep struggling, the majority of people. It's frustrating, it's exhausting, and honestly, I know it can feel hopeless. But here's what I want you to hear. Just because the current economy feels like a game that's rigged against you and I, it doesn't mean that we're powerless in this system. So let me walk you through some actual tangible steps of how we can not only just survive this time, but actually continue to make headway financially and be able to have more financial security. So if we're talking about ways to have more financial security, I would be remiss to not talk about contentment first. It's a message that many of us, myself included, need to continue to reevaluate in our lives. The reality is we do live in a time where we're constantly being sold more stuff, more experiences, more just everything. And a lot of us have fallen into that trap of thinking that the next thing will make us happy. But we know the truth is those things don't make us happy. Maybe it's a temporary high by buying it or receiving it, but it's gone quickly. So learning to just enjoy simple things isn't about like depriving ourselves of everything. It's about freedom long term. My family and I have figured this out over the years. We do some fun things. We save up for road trips, and that's a big spend, a big splurge, and has made a lot of great memories as a family, working our way, getting all of our kids to the lower 48 states. But otherwise, for the most part, I mean, we're playing board games, we're watching movies, we go to parks, hang out and do stuff in the backyard. And realistically, those are the memories that our kids talk about. It's the day-to-day routine stuff that doesn't cost a lot of money. It's about relationships, about quality time, and it's not about materialistic things or expensive experiences just for the sake of being fancy or elegant or expensive. Teaching ourselves and our families to be content with just simple pleasures, enjoyments, just simple things. It doesn't just save money, it does truly make life richer. You end up stop chasing all these things and you start enjoying pursuing what matters. Number 2 is being honest about our habits. If you've got an expensive hobby, whether it's shoes, tech gadgets, cars, whatever, It is time that we evaluate those sort of things. But that excessive spending on material possessions just to collect more and more, it isn't just hurting your wallet or your bank account. It's actually making this whole inflation problem worse for everyone. When we buy things that we don't really need, we are signaling to companies that they can keep raising the prices on us. Number 3, I have to say it, investing your money. But you may ask, well, how can I invest if I'm watching this video where I'm barely getting by? Trust me, I get it. But the truth is, money you just save loses value over time because of inflation. Yes, I'm sure the majority of us know that. But just using like a simple platform, like I use Betterment for investing, it'll let you can set up automatic contributions, you can put money into a high yield cash savings account or an investment portfolio. Like because I own my own business, I have my money in a SEP IRA. Over the years, though, the reality is that those small amounts, they add up. And that money hasn't lost any of its value like it would just sitting in a regular account or being spent, of course. You don't need to be wealthy to start that. You just have to start. I put it off way too long. But when I finally started and over time that momentum built up, it was very exciting to see what happened and let the power of compounding interest do the rest. I recognize that's a whole nother discussion for a whole nother video, but I have to bring it up. My third practical tip for ways to make your money stretch further is the power of community. Now, this is not something I have seen anyone bring up in this type of video because we're such an individualistic and honestly selfish society, really more than we've ever been in the history of the world. But this one is so valuable and so forgotten. And there are many communities or friend groups or family, whatever that group is you can be a part of. I know for me as a Christian, I won't pretend like I think there's any other better community to be a part of than a truly loving, welcoming, Bible-teaching, gospel-centered local church. For me, I could really offer no better advice of a community to be a part of or invest yourself in that could provide that type of love, support, and help that actually makes our money stretch further as a part of this too. So it's not just financial, that's also emotional, spiritual, the practical support in every area of life. But also this extends to family, friends, other communities, sports, where you can be more community-minded as well. Like one example I learned working on cars. I knew with 6 kids many years ago when they were little that we were going to have a lot of vehicles in our future. So I started working on learning how to work on cars and buying those tools. Well, now I've got a lot of tools that my kids use that I borrow out to friends and family. And this is a part of that cyclical gift that a community provides that is financial, but it's a help. Materials and things like that can be spread around so we don't have to all buy these things ourselves. I mean, that is how God designed us to live, not isolated, just trying to do everything ourselves, but to work together. Building an emergency fund. If you haven't learned this lesson yet, you will, probably the hard way. Life happens. Cars break down, medical bills come in. You need a cushion. From all the years of research that I've done on this particular topic, what I've learned from different financial consultants, the safest amount to have in an emergency fund is truly a year's worth of expenses. And I know that takes a long time to get there. And that money should absolutely be in a high yield savings account that's earning for sure more than the current rate of inflation in interest. And there's nothing to be ashamed of if just when you're getting started, if that first goal is to get to $100 saved in there, that's awesome. If you reach $500, that is wonderful. You are ahead of, I believe the stat is like 46% of Americans just by having $500 in an emergency savings account. With $1,000 saved, you can handle a more significant short-term emergency. For instance, for me and my family, we typically try to keep a year's worth of income in our emergency savings account. And one tip is if you have that amount saved, don't just keep building up that emergency account to have more and more liquid funds. Continue to put that into retirement to earn higher interest, compound interest on that. So I know when you hear someone say, put away a year's worth of emergency fund and you're already in a crisis situation, I get that's tough to hear. But like I said, it's about building the right habits and you have to start somewhere. Even if you're in a crisis, start by trying to get through a little bit of that crisis and put some money away into an emergency fund. Eliminating debt. I do completely subscribe in general to the Dave Ramsey snowball idea of destroying debt,
When we say beans and rice, honey, it's a metaphor.
which is to get rid of the highest interest rate debt first and then snowball what you're paying for that into the next debt that you're going to pay off, the next item that needs to be removed from that list. It's not very complicated, but it's a habit that, if built correctly, it will start to destroy the debt that you have, which is a wonderful feeling. And I can't stress enough that you have to make sure that you do have the mindset of not wanting to ever go back there, or certainly stay there, having that amount of debt. You can't just keep adding things on a credit card that's not money you have. Don't take out loans that you can't pay back. I would say minus a mortgage and potentially a car payment if necessary. But if you're in a place where you can't buy a car outright, make sure you are not getting a loan on like a brand new $70,000 car. Make sure you are getting a loan on a used car that's significantly cheaper, that you can pay off much faster. And I will tell you from personal experience of always buying used cars, and we make them last incredibly long time, that will save you not only thousands, tens of thousands of dollars, but you will be able to put all of that into investing or emergency fund. It is these kind of decisions that you have to make if you want to get ahead and not always feel so squeezed every month. And the final one is diversifying your income or your income streams. This is not about the idea of you need to have 7 different streams of income, and that just becomes a nightmare to try to manage all of that. A lot of financial principles are not that hard to understand. It's just a matter of putting them into action. The typical advice out there is to have multiple income streams. But one thing I've found with that is it does divide your attention. For me personally, I've found that just increasing my primary income stream, for me that is my own business, was a much more balanced way to earn more and still be able to enjoy life. Okay, so what does that actually look like? Well, for me, doing web design, online marketing, it was about increasing my value to my clients that I had and potentially new clients that I acquired. So in the end, they could pay me more because I can do a variety of things and more skills for them very well that they don't have to pay a whole bunch of part-time people to do. Another pro tip I've learned from business is I've learned that a jack of all trades within a smaller subset of skills that you learn really well earns a lot more than a jack of all trades that's too generalized, doing everything mediocre, or a person that is too I'm hitting my mic, or a person that is too specialized. The sweet spot is right in the middle there. And it took me like 20 years to learn that. So I hope that can benefit you in a much shorter amount of time. If you want to have your own business, especially doing services for people, definitely specialize in quite a few different services that overlap one another. Inflation is realistically just not going to go away, even at the rate that it's increasing. Waiting for things to go back to normal is not a strategy. It will not get us anywhere. Like the things I mentioned, what works to get ahead in this day and age, in this challenging economy, is habits. It's small financial habits that we build today. Whether they're good or bad, it will shape where we are in 10, 20, 30 years. Living in the United States is expensive, like really expensive. And I know at times we do need to remember and give thanks that, we do live better than the majority of the world. Even the poorest of us in the US, we live like kings compared to some people in other countries, but for sure people in past times. So we got to be realistic that while it is expensive, we do have it really good. That's part of the contentment idea. So we should be grateful for that, but it doesn't mean the struggle's not real and the stress that comes with that. Do yourself a favor though and stop playing the comparison game. Stop scrolling through social media, TikTok, Pinterest, and unintentionally just feeding jealousy or discontentment into our hearts from what other people have and you don't have. If you want to get by financially in our current economic state, you truly have to just focus on the habits and what you can control. Truly learn to be content with what you have. Look around you. Be thankful for what God's given you. The material things don't really matter in the long run. It's not just about the stuff. It's about the people. It's about the relationships, and that can stretch far without a lot of money. And that stretches into eternity, well, obviously beyond just this life. If you were looking for more practical help on understanding our relationship with money, how it affects our daily life, I would encourage you to watch this other video that I created on our beliefs about money and finances. And with that, I ask you, what will you do with these 24 hours that you've been given?